I'm just getting everybody added. First 5 picks or so.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. We
All
back.
right. Mm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All right. Good. I can hear your mic this time,
Oh, you can hear me?
so people won't.
People won't.
Yeah.
People won't bitch at me about my mic stuff that I can't control.
I think it was because I started the podcast and then you joined.
No, that makes sense. All right, let me join the whatever.
Why is Kevin adding you? Does that fool have to say?
Pop off our dicks, Kevin. We're trying to do a podcast.
That even Viking. Oh, I can do that.
Uh,
Act like I'm not on here. Kev dog. Get to see it live and in person. Me remove somebody from the league. I think this is the second time that's yeah, but we don't. Is the other guy in the league?
Sweet. Well, we can still invite him though.
I liked it better when. All right, we can go ahead and start. We've got 8 in here.
All right. That's rad.
Uh, all right, guys. So, welcome to another mock draft for the NFLGM League. This is the 2023 mock draft. I'm Kyle. That there is Sam.
What's up, everybody?
We're just gonna hop right in.
Can't wait to get this poo-poo draft over with.
Yeah, Sam has some things to say about this draft at the top, so I'll let him go ahead and start that out.
Yeah, just to start out on a little rant. I know a few of you guys were a little displeased when we announced that we're going to be doing custom drafts starting in a couple of seasons, originally next season, but the first 2 Madden auto-generated drafts have been absolutely terrible. Hardly anybody is getting dev. There's no offensive linemen. There's been an abundance of good front seven players, also with running backs as well. So we're not, trust me, we're not trying to cheat. You know, the CMs are just as competitive as you guys are. We don't want the other CMs having an advantage. But if we didn't do anything, we were looking at in the next 3 to 5 seasons, offensive linemen becoming obsolete because the good old offensive linemen would be retiring, and taking their place would be a bunch of mid 70 to early 80 overall linemen.
If we're lucky, that's what they would be.
If we're lucky. So that's why we decided to do it. We're deciding to do it not this next draft, but the next one. So just to keep that in mind, you know, it's not going to be as overpowered as the first draft was, but we're going to try to find some sort of happy medium between the two, because we can't keep doing what we're doing. And you're going to see this this draft class, you could argue, is even worse than last year's. I think it is, personally.
I think it's pretty close.
Yeah.
I think that they're both real bad. Only time will tell after some picks, but I mean, at least this draft class has some first-round quarterbacks. So, so
that's true, Sean. People could just draft better O-line. I guess we didn't think of that.
Yeah. I guess
just be better.
They don't exist, but so I mean, our first team our all rookie right guard was a fourth round pick who gave up 11 sacks. So
It's not great.
yeah. So let's just hop into the mock right away with the Jets. So I think that everybody oh wait, you're supposed to read Roy's mock draft before we start.
Yeah. So before I do, thank you for myself and Kyle, and also Pode and Sean, and of course Roy for sending in mock drafts. So let me get Roy's up. So Roy's mock draft is as follows. All of these teams will draft terrible players that suck that they suck at drafting because they do steal for Cardinals, not know what they are doing. Somehow they all made it steal for Cardinals this far. This mock draft was made by Roy. Thank you, Roy.
Yeah, appreciate it, Roy.
He's not far off, I don't think.
So the first pick is the New York Jets, who traded goddamn everything to get this pick, and they will select quarterback Brett Ford.
Yep, that's what everybody has here. Not too surprising.
Yeah. He needs a quarterback. I mean, he doesn't. He's got Dak, but he's fed up with Dak, so he's going to make a rash decision and take Brett Ford. Or
yep.
Brett Ford.
Brett Ford.
So,
hopefully he'll get Dev. We'll see. He's late first-round talent, but he's first in every category for QBs except one.
He is a 72 overall.
Oh, we got it? The pick is in?
Yep. The pick is in.
All right. That Lucha on the clock. Okay, 72. That's honestly not terrible for this draft. The only killer is if he would get normal Dev or not.
I'm waiting to see. Pode, hurry up and post it. Yeah. Did you sim Pode?
No.
You're the league owner, right?
Yeah. No, I didn't sim him, and I paused it. I didn't do anything. I was sitting on the draft board.
Yeah, I didn't pick it. So Pode must have picked by himself.
Normal guarantee.
I'm guessing. Yeah. So moving on.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll try to stay ahead of the draft. At number 2, we have the Texans.
It's normal Dev. Pode just said.
Ooh. Dragon Camp.
There you go.
Is your friend.
Yep.
At number 2, we have the Texans. Who did you have them take, or who did you, Sean and Pode, have him taking?
So Pode and Sean both had Lucha taking edge LaMarcus Ramsey. Okay. I had him taking defensive tackle Keenan Harris.
And I have him going edge Cameron Sanders.
Yeah.
Pretty clear he needs front 4 help here.
For me, I think Lucha is in a position to where he doesn't need to worry about a certain position. He just needs to take the best player available. And for me, I think that's Keenan Harris. I'm sure it's the same for you with Cameron Sanders and Pode and Sean with LaMarcus Ramsey. So I would expect this pick to be a front 7 pick.
Yep. So moving on to the Lions, I have them taking defensive tackle Walt Hooker.
Yeah. That dude's going to be a monster.
Yeah.
So
who do you guys have him going?
So I have this is where I have LaMarcus Ramsey going.
Okay.
Pode has edge Sean Hewitt going here, and Sean agrees with you with Walt Hooker. I think we can all agree that Vince's defense definitely got better last year. You could argue it could have been even better if Woodard would have stayed healthy. If Vince can get another sort of pass rusher, whether that be an interior pass rusher, an edge rusher, that's just going to make his defense better because his Secondary is okay, like outside Buda, like his other corners are old and slow. So I would guess you would try to beef up his pass rush with this pick.
For sure.
So the
So
Vikings are next at number 4. Um, Pode and Sean both have the Vikings taking Don Truman here, the other quarterback. Um, I have John Blades going here, the corner, mostly being because when I did this mock, it showed that he still had a quarterback on his roster. Uh,
yeah,
so that I would be very surprised if a quarterback was not the pick here.
I think it's Truman, and I don't think that there's any other way that the Vikings can go.
Yeah,
Um, they
yeah, I
need
agree.
somebody to throw the ball. They
Unless the
have a
new
lot of
Vikings
holes.
user wants to take a defensive guy and then sign Drew Lock or something after the draft is
Yeah,
over. But to me, that's pretty risky because I think a couple other teams are trying to do that. So I'm with you. I think even though it is a strong arm, I think you just got to roll the dice and just go with the rookie.
for sure.
The Falcons is next. This is where I had Truman going because the Falcons also do not have a QB on their roster. Linebacker Darren Moss going here, and Sean has wide receiver Keon Crockett going here. What about you?
I have edge rusher Lamarcus Ramsey going here. Um, Falcons is another team that has a lot of holes
Yep.
on his roster, so he's another guy who just needs to go best player available.
Yep.
Um,
Absolutely, I agree.
so moving on to the Titans, new user Jeremy. Welcome to the league. I have him going Manu Cruz, the center, just because I don't think he has a lot of offensive linemen, but he also doesn't have a ton of holes other places. A
Yeah.
few, but not many.
Yeah. Pode and Sean agree with you. They both said Cruz as well. I went with this is where I had defensive tackle Walt Hooker going.
Okay.
My thought process was his quarterback is a 68 or 69 overall. His offensive line is whatever, but to me, I think he should just go best player available, and I would rather just get. I think Walt Hooker is going to be better than Manu Cruz, but I don't think it's. I don't think it's. I don't think it's that far apart though, if that makes sense.
For sure. So moving on to the Niners, and Sam and I have been at a party for about an hour, and we were just going through some rosters. And boy, oh boy, is the
Ooh,
49ers secondary the worst in the league.
it's what the
Hands
kids are
down.
calling sus. It's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
sus.
His secondary is definitely the imposter. Um, I have them going cornerback John Blades here. Where did you guys have him going?
Yeah, so we all said a secondary player. Pote agrees with you with the John Blades pick. Sean said free safety Kyle Garland here. I wouldn't uh, wouldn't blame them there. I said Aaron Paul here just because I had John Blades going a little bit further to the Vikings. Yeah, this
Yep.
secondary is bad. So honestly, any secondary player here is I would consider a good pick.
Yeah, for sure. So I have the Jags going Kyle Garland, since you have just mentioned him for yourself, picking him to go to, or I'm sorry, Sean picking him to go to the 49ers. The Jags free safety position is bad. Our safety position. I don't necessarily think he has to stay at free, but he has John Johnson and then Anthony Harris, who is a 78. He does have Richie Grant, who's a 74, but I think Kyle Garland's a huge upgrade for that team.
Yeah, that would be a good pick. Pode and Sean actually have Blair taking tight end Kyle Griffin. They think he could use another offensive player. I had him going outside linebacker Dominique Thomas here. Because I think his front seven is pretty good. I think upgrading it could kind of negate that need in the back end, where if he's getting sacks on the quarterback, even if he has Anthony Harris starting back there at safety, it's not a huge deal.
Yeah. So I just want to talk about Brett Ford real quick, just running through some of the numbers.
Go for it.
91 throw power, 80 deep accuracy, 76 mid, 80 short, 75 awareness, and then 88 speed and 89 acceleration.
Ooh.
So not terrible.
No, definitely not.
The accuracies are a lot better than I would have thought it would have been, but not bad at all.
Yeah, I guess the 76 mid would be what's a little concerning to me. Just because I think about Dak Prescott and I think about how he misses all those medium throws. And
For sure. I don't want to have to hear Poe complain about it.
yeah, the 91 throw power isn't bad. The 88 speed and 89 acceleration is really nice for a scrambler. Hopefully he has some decent traits. I don't think we can see those until after the draft. Is that right?
We can't.
Yeah. So
No, we can't. So
as long as he doesn't have, I guess, paranoid, I mean, that should be a pretty good pick. And then if he gets, you get the Dragon Camp, you get the Star. So
yep.
It's not terrible.
No, not at all. Hopefully Lucha will pick here soon.
Moving on
going
to the Pats. This is where I had Keon Crockett going. Really the only legit receiver worth going in the first round.
LaMarcus Ramsey has just gone and is a 79 overall.
Oh my. Whew. Okay.
Great pick, Lucha.
That, if he's not number one in talent, then this draft might be way better than we thought.
Yeah.
Wow. I can't remember what we were talking about. Oh, Keon Crockett. To me, this is the only receiver really worth taking in the first. And with Cody trading Diggs, I think being a young receiver here to develop under Watson and that offensive line would be hugely beneficial to him.
I agree.
But
I did not agree on the pick.
Yeah, Pode has Kyle Garland going here, the safety, and this is where Sean has John Blades going, which also would be a good pick because Cody does need secondary help as well.
For me, I have him going Kyle Griffin, the tight end. Gronk is old. A CSC has kind of hit his ceiling. So gamble on the early first round graded tight end and hope that he pans out.
Yeah, and Cody had also put a Irv Smith in free agency and lost out. So tight end here makes a lot of sense as well. Moving on to the Vikings' second pick in the top 10. I have him going left outside linebacker Darren Moses here. Pode has him going defensive tackle Walt Hooker, and Sean also has Darren Moses going here as well.
I have left tackle Colin Hall going.
Not
for any particular
normal dev. Excuse me. Sorry for interrupting you.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Because of course he is.
Because of course.
Yeah.
Again. Dragons. I mean, he does have Carlos Charleston here, but as a left tackle, but the rest of his offensive line is really not that good.
For sure.
And you're paying Brian O'Neill a ton of money for a middling right tackle that you could probably move on from. But so moving on to the Cowboys, I have him going Grayson Brewer.
If you don't mind, if I can just go through some core attributes for Ramsey real quick before we move on.
Okay.
Most notable, he's got 89 power moves.
That's good.
That's nice. 81 speed, 87 acceleration, 82 strength, 69 block shooting, nice 72 awareness. Um, so looks like a good player, especially if Lucha uses his dragon on Ramsey, which he absolutely should. He looks like he could be a really nice player.
Yeah, this is the only year that he would probably be able to use it on him because he will be above 85 next season.
Right.
So, yeah, no, I agree.
But please continue.
Yeah, no problem. Cowboys at number 11. I have him taking Grayson Brewer, the edge. Uh, they don't need an edge, but they need to get younger at edge.
Yeah, and he has Cameron Jordan on the block. Um, I wouldn't necessarily be shocked if a contender kind of lowballed him and got Cameron Jordan. Going younger here makes sense to me as well. I have him. This is where I have Colin Hall going. Kind of similar reasons as you. I think he needs to get younger at offensive lineman.
For
Um,
sure.
and this is Sean has Brewer going here as well, and Pode has defensive tackle Daryl Childress. So we all have him taking a some sort of lineman.
Yep. So Ravens, who do you guys have the Ravens going here? Mike's first pick of this draft.
So this is where I have Brewer going.
Okay.
Um, Pode had edge Cameron Sanders going here, and Sean had defensive tackle Keenan Harris going here. Pretty similar reasons. Like with the Cowboys, they just need to get younger at places. Mike's team is still good. Obviously trading Lamar in the offseason for a bunch of young guys. I think getting another young pass rusher should be a priority for him because I think his offense is actually at a pretty decent place at the moment.
For sure. So for me, I have him taking defensive tackle Darius Childress here. Uh, I don't like Jay Tufele that much. I
Yeah,
don't
oh
think he's
yeah,
going to get that much better. So I think taking a defensive tackle here is smart, especially if he could get Dev, but
yeah.
that's probably not going to happen.
I mean, if we if we can't get a 79 overall left in to get Dev, I don't know what hope we're gonna have.
Yeah. So, moving on to the Giants, I have them taking Joseph Dunbar, the cornerback. Uh, their offense is pretty set, and the secondary is not the best.
Yep, this is the first pick outside of Podes where we agree. I also have Dunbar going here. This is where Pode has Dominique Thomas going the edge rusher, and this is where Sean has left tackle Colin Hall going. Not a bad pick, the Giants' offensive line it's not great, but I mean it's fine, it's passable. The only team you really worry about in that division in terms of pass rush is Washington. So
I mean, the Eagles are
the,
pretty good in their own respect, but
right,
not to the same extent as
right.
the Redskins, or I'm sorry, the football team.
It's
They
going
need
to
a
take
new
a while
name.
for everybody.
They
Well,
need a
they'll
new
have a new
name.
nickname next year, so we won't have to do this much longer.
I'm gonna call them the Red Hawks. That's what they are.
There you go.
Um,
Moving on to the Ravens again. This is where I have them taking right outside linebacker Sean Hewitt here. Pode has him taking wide receiver Keon Crockett, and Sean has him taking left end KJ Claiborne.
I like those picks. I have them taking center Jamie Johnson. Why? I don't know. They might need an offensive lineman in Baltimore, I
There you go.
assume.
Yeah, I think if Crockett is there, I think you have to take him because you know Hollywood Brown is no longer there. Justin
Hey,
Ross was
I'm
not.
trying to get people not to take a receiver, so if you guys could stop picking receivers,
There you go.
that'd be great.
Justin Ross was
So,
not properly developed.
no.
Um, he definitely needs receiver. You know, I can't really see Crockett being here, but if he is, I think that's the right move. But we'll see. Hey, we'll see. You never
Cro-
know.
Crockett's gonna fall way farther than this, only because I forgot about him. But
Fair enough.
No. So moving on to Travis uh, and the Raiders, I have them taking KJ Claiborne, the edge rusher, um, to pair with Gregory Rioso.
Um, that's a great pick. Pode agreed with you. Um, Sean had corner Aaron Paul going here. This is where I have Manu Cruz going.
Okay.
The Raiders' offensive line is bad, and I think the defensive line in the front seven I think is good enough to warrant. I don't think he necessarily needs to take a front seven player, but if he does, I definitely would not blame Travis here for taking an edge player.
Yep. So moving on to Phil, who do you guys have Phil taking here with the Chargers at the midway point of the draft?
So this is where I had Kyle Garland going. It's a really steep drop, mostly because I actually thought I had him going earlier and I forgot and I didn't want to rearrange it. So I'm predicting like some sort of video of him smoking pot out of a gas mask is going to surface and have him
Okay.
fall. Uh,
I like it.
this is where Pode has Colin Hall going, and Sean has right outside linebacker Sean Hewitt going here.
Okay. I have him going DT Keenan Harris. Uh, he's got decent defensive tackles, but they're getting older and they haven't developed well.
They really
So
haven't.
bringing a young guy, start him, hope he gets a dev opportunity and turns into a much better player than he is.
Yeah. Up next, our boy Roy. I have Roy taking left end KJ Claiborne here. I think
Okay.
he desperately needs some pass rushing help. Um, Sean has him taking defensive tackle Daryl Childress, and Pode has Roy taking edge Grayson Brewer.
Okay. I have Roy going defense as well, but I have him going Jerry Childers, the cornerback. I think that his secondary has fallen off at the corner spot. I think he still has the best safety duo, but I think his corners outside of Byron Murphy are kind of bad.
Yeah, because Pat Pete
So,
retired, correct?
yes.
Okay, that's what I
And,
thought.
and even if he wouldn't have, Roy wasn't going to bring him back. He wanted too much money.
True, that's fair.
So moving on to Ryan and the Eagles, this is where I have Sean Hewitt going. Not that Ryan really needs more pass rush, but couldn't think of anything else that Ryan really needed. So
Yeah, well, I mean, Fletcher Cox, this is the last year of his deal. Who knows if Ryan is going to bring him back? So maybe getting younger at pass rusher, I mean, definitely makes sense here. I've had him taking the other center, Jamie Johnson here. Pode has Ryan taking edge, Kelvin Mobley, and Sean has Dominique Thomas going here. Uh,
the one, yeah.
Go ahead.
So the one thing with this is he could end up moving Aiden Hutchinson inside. He fits the criteria to play DT.
True.
So if Ryan wanted to do that, that's a move he could make.
True. Moving on to the Colts and Lee. So I had Lee taking Kyle Griffin here, the tight end. He has some nice young receivers, Pittman included. Pittman has been one of the best young receivers that came out of that first customized draft.
Bateman.
Bateman, yeah, I'm sorry. Uh, his tight ends aren't good. I think if he added Griffin, I think it's worth at least taking a fly on because I think his offense is already going to be really good with Jonathan Taylor and Lamar and Bateman and Paris Campbell and all those guys. And his defense is fine. I think if he can add if Kyle Griffin is good, I think that offense can go to another level.
Yeah.
This is where Pode has corner Joseph Dunbar going, and Sean has left in Cameron Sanders going here.
And I had edge rusher Dominique Thomas going here. He just traded away Vernon and So he needs to get another edge rusher to replace him, was my thinking.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Back to the Cowboys for their second pick. I
nope.
actually have them. Oh,
Buccaneers.
Bucks. Sorry.
Bucks.
Yep. Sorry, Larry. This is where I have cornerback Chad Manning going, and Pote
Okay.
agrees with me, and Sean has right in Ronald Westbrook going here.
So I had them going Kelvin Moby here, the edge rusher. Uh, he had one really good edge rusher in Shaq Barrett last year. He could use some more pass rush opposite Shaq. So
I disagree. I think his pass
I
rushing
mean,
is
yes,
fine.
obviously you would disagree, but
Yeah.
so moving on to now the
Now we go to
Cowboys.
the
Uh,
Cowboys.
this is where I have Chad Manning, the cornerback, going.
Yep,
I don't think that no other one has a lot of corners, so he
that's
could
fair.
definitely use one.
Uh, Pode and Sean both agreed that they both thought no other one should take the right outside linebacker, Deontay Dansby. And I actually have him going offensive line again and right tackle Casey Ridley.
Okay.
Moving on to the Chiefs, I had them going left end Cameron Sanders here. Pode has Pode has him taking Steve Burke, the edge rusher, and this is where Sean has Kevin Mobley going.
Yep, and I agree with Pote. I have him going Steve Burke, the edge. I think they need some help
Yeah,
rushing the passer. So,
for sure.
um,
This next one's an interesting one with Corb. Um, so Corb has we make fun of Kevin for having an old team. Corb has an old team, like retirement home old. So he really needs young players here. Uh, this is where I have Mobley going. I think he
okay.
could get. I think he needs to get younger at linebacker. And he has Micah Parsons, who has been really really good. I think pairing Mobley with Parsons would be super helpful for that defense. Uh, this is where Pote has corner Aaron Paul going, and this is where Sean has corner Joseph Dunbar going. What about you?
Okay. I have defensive tackle Jay Morant going here, only because I know that he let Michael Brockers go this offseason, so he's definitely going to need a replacement there. So,
Yeah, for sure. Moving on. Sorry, Corb asked why. How does he have an old team? Tyron Matthews
uh,
31, Odell's 30, Khalil Mack is 32, Ali Marpet is 30, Trey Flowers is 30, Xavier Howard is 30. Sure, like Jalen Hurts is 25, and I think let's see, Cam
Akers is
Akers is
24.
24, Parsons is 23, Gallup is 27. But like you got a lot of big time contributors that are pretty old. So that's the only point I was making about needing some young talent.
I mean, 27 to 30 is regression age,
Yeah,
like within a season or two.
yeah.
Uh,
Depending
so
on dev, of course. If you have star dev,
right,
is going to be sooner. Superstar, X Factor later, obviously.
right.
Um. Well, this pick might not actually will be made by Vince, as the Lions are trying to send pick 1.3 to the Jags for 1.8, 2.8, and 2.18.
Uh,
So, your instant thoughts, instant reaction to me. It
uh,
seems like a good bit to move up 5 spots.
uh, uh. It's sure,
It,
whatever. I don't
it
know.
it is a
It's
trade
fine.
that is
It's
might
fine.
pass or might not. Uh, so I guess Blair's gonna go for that quarterback. I would assume, right? I mean, that's what it has to be.
Yeah.
You can't roll out
Sorry,
Jake
Vikings.
Luton.
I guess Vikings are going to be still looking for a QB. Um,
That's unfortunate.
I don't like that. Blair, stop doing that to me. Stop trading.
Stop
Uh,
trading. Um,
so moving on to the Texans' second pick at 24. I have them going offensive lineman Dylan Rowland.
yeah,
Um,
I is that the one? Is he graded? Does he have a first round grade, or are we? Because
nope,
to
he's an early second.
yeah, to me at like 22, I think is when I really started throwing darts. Just like, yeah, why not?
I
Like
mean,
this guy could be good.
I would have if I didn't miss like two early first round guys who are now going to be picked in the mid 20s because I was up against the clock on this one.
There you go. Uh, well, this is where Sean had corner Jerry Childers going. Um, Pode had defensive tackle Keenan Harris going here. I also had Childers going here. Again, best player available. I thought it was Childers, even though at this point I think there's going to be a few corners go off the board. I just don't think this draft is very deep, and I think this is kind of the best, the best player you can get at this point. Moving
Yeah.
on to your team, which is the Miami Dolphins, the best team in the AFC East? Question mark? Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe.
I have you going defensive tackle Jeff Levy here. Pode has you taking wide receiver Dennis Averill here. And Sean said a safety, I don't know. I didn't scout them. And Sean also
But
says he is done after this. So no more Sean mock draft.
so I forgot about Keenan Crockett, so this is where I have him going. I
Naturally.
mean,
Okay.
in some alternative universe, this happens and Keon Crockett drops and he's a 78 overall superstar, but
Yeah. Hey,
they want us
man,
to
you
vote
know
on the
what?
trade.
They want what?
They want us to vote on the trade.
It's already been approved.
Oh. Well then why the hell do I need to vote on it?
We don't. I'm not
I don't
voting.
need to vote on it.
I'm not voting.
Cody,
Screw
I don't
this
need to
trade.
vote. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So to recap, it's 1.3 for 1.8, 2.8, and 2.18. It makes sense for Vince. You're only moving down 5 spots. You weren't taking a quarterback anyway, so you might as well pick up some extra picks, especially when you don't know where Dev is going to be. So I don't I don't hate it. I don't like that Blair is just continuing to give up picks when his team is bad. But hey, if this quarterback has Dev, it'd be
He
worth
won't.
it. Probably not.
So moving on to the Browns, uh, I have them going Antoine Keenan, the wide receiver, because I don't know.
Yeah. Pode had wide receiver Damian Peters going here, and this is where I had right end Ronald Westbrook going. Um, I know Tyler is pretty solid up front, but I think Ronald Westbrook is the best player here, and I know he already has the dude that beats people with his helmet, and I'm totally blanking on his name, but he could use another edge rusher as well. Uh, Moving on to the Ravens. What is this? The Ravens' third pick in the first round.
Yes.
Yeah, I
No,
have him. I have him
maybe.
taking defensive tackle Daryl Childress here, and Pode has him taking corner Jerry Childers.
I have him taking Antoine Jackson, the edge rusher.
Okay. And
Uh,
on to the artist formerly known as the Evil Empire, aka the Patriots, aka Cody. Um, so me and Pode agreed here. We both think Cody is going to take running back Pat Pat McCullers here from Clemson, the power back. Uh, as long as I've known Cody in Madden, he's always been a best player available kind of dude. And I think McCullers is going to be really good. And even though Cody already has Hawkins, if this guy is good, Hawkins will be on the block, and he will probably get 2 more firsts for him.
Yeah, I have Cody going Greg Hurst, the running back.
Yeah.
The elusive back. I think Cody has a type, and he doesn't particularly care for power backs, so
That's fair.
he likes the speed guys more. So
Back to Pode for his
Nope,
no, excuse
Roy.
me, Roy for his second pick. I messed that up. Back to Roy. This is where I had Hurst going. Roy has Kenyon Drake here, and I don't know. He's fine. He's like he's what you call a guy. He's a guy.
Yep, yeah, he's fine.
I think Roy could get younger here with Greg Hurst. And Pode has Roy taking Jamie Johnson here, the other center.
I have Roy going Pat McCullers, the power back. Here.
Yeah.
So you and I just flipped where we thought these running backs were going to go.
That's fair.
The
Falcons,
moving on to the
second
Falcons.
pick.
Yeah, I have him going Alani Baldwin, the wide receiver. I don't know. He seemed like a guy.
This is where I had Antoine Keenan going, the wide receiver, and this is where Pode has Greg Hurst, the elusive back, going. If Greg Hurst does go here, I believe that's 3 drafts in a row that Oscar is taking a running back, which is a pretty cool streak to have. So I kind of want it to happen, but at the same time, it's like you just had, I think running back made all rookie, if I'm not mistaken, along with Dwayne Glenn. That could be wrong.
Yeah, no. Tomlinson did.
Oh, that's right. Never mind.
So moving on to the Patriots' third and final pick of the first round. I had them going Jeff Levi, the defensive tackle.
Yeah, this is where Pode had wide receiver Antoine Keenan going, and I had corner Denzel Boswell going here. Cody lost both Stephon Gilmore and Jonathan Jones in the offseason and needs to bring in some sort of talent to develop. So I think that's kind of your best option at this point in the draft.
For sure.
Last pick in the first round, this pick wasn't traded, right? The Jags have this pick.
Yep.
So on mine, I still had them as Panthers, so I'm just going to keep the same pick. I have whoever's making the 32nd pick in the first round, I have them taking running back Jamal Lane. And Pode has Blair taking tackle Dylan Rollin.
Okay. I have defensive tackle Mello Hadley going here. I don't know why, but seems like a good pick.
Cool name.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a trade.
Okay, so we just traded the pick on Madden. So hopefully we'll get to see Blair pick here in a couple minutes. But before we go into the questions for the pod and do a little bit of free agent overview, do you feel any better about this draft?
The Vikings are now on the clock.
He made the pick.
Nope. Feel worse now.
Yeah. Quarterback Don Truman is off the board. Also 72 overall.
Yeah. I mean, I expected there would be somebody in between like 79 and 77. So it's not surprising to me that one of the edge rushers was the guy. If anything, it reinforces my thought that we need to do the custom classes because it's just another edge rusher with great stats, attributes to go. So it just makes me feel better about that decision.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And Blair also got normal dev, so
oof.
So you gave up a lot to go get a normal dev guy.
Yeah, that's tough. Hey, it's better than Jake Luton, though.
Yeah, that is true.
If you want to look at it like that.
If you want to look at it as in a positive light, you are correct, sir.
Yeah.
So you want to just hop into the questions?
Yeah. Before we do, real quick, this is where new user Travis is picking with the Vikings. Not 100% sure if he's in the league yet, but hopefully we can get him in.
He is.
He is?
He's
okay.
not. So, is he?
I don't know.
Are you?
I don't think so.
I don't think he is.
Yeah.
Let me back out and come back in and see if it reloaded, but I didn't invite him. I don't think anybody else has been on, but I guess Kevin's been on. He probably decided that watching, Jets Patriots wasn't that important.
Shocking.
I could have told him that. He didn't. Nope, he is not in, so.
All right. So we'll be
Travis's.
We'll need Travis's gamer tag. We'll be pausing for a minute on the slug. But the good news is we are slugging until, let's see.
It looks like till 8 p.m. tomorrow Eastern time is the winner of the slug draft. Or the live draft, so we will be back probably tomorrow at 7 Eastern, I would say, something like that, with
live coverage.
And I may drag Sam in and make him play like an hour of Dead by Daylight before we start. So
don't tempt me with a good time.
I'll tempt you with all the good times. Yeah,
we can go on to the questions.
So just real quick, Don Truman has 92 throw power, 84 deep accuracy, 76 medium, 84 short, 74 awareness, 78 throw on the run, 71 play action, 77 under pressure, 77 break sack, 72 speed, and 84 acceleration.
Not terrible for a strong arm.
Nope, not at all. So congrats, Blair, on your okay quarterback.
He's fine. So. He's also a 70 improviser, so maybe in a couple seasons, if he might can get that improviser. Maybe.
For sure. So moving on to the questions, we'll start here with Cirilio. His first question is biggest winner and loser in free agency and best overall signing. So my biggest winner is the Saints. And my biggest loser is the Titans.
So winners, I had a few. I had Saints, Broncos, Lions. Biggest loser, I had Titans. I had Titans and Jets. Best overall signing, I think we probably agree. It's Hopkins, the Giants, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought that was a great move by Manic.
Yeah, as much as we kind of memed in the general chat, Ricky Giles, I posted in content today, Ricky Giles has actually been, outside of the fumbles, like he's been effective. He's been a good quarterback, and now he gets a guy in Hopkins who's a legit number one to go along with Slayton and Evan Ingram and Saquon Barkley in the backfield. So this offense, I think, is going to be really, really good next year.
Yeah, for sure. So number 2 is a question I think only for me from Cirilio. You could have answered it, I guess. After the Dolphins made the playoffs and beat the Bengals, is to a future in Miami not coming to an end? No, it's not coming to an end because the person who was going to trade me a quarterback and a draft pick left the league. So,
ouch.
Yeah. And then Pode hopped in front of me for 1-1, and it was just a bad day yesterday all around. So,
yeah, not that you care about my opinion for this question, but I kind of said the same thing. I said no because nobody has reached out, I don't believe, for him. So I said you're kind of
stuck. 4 teams reached out for him, but I didn't like the deals from 2 of the teams, and then, like I said, 2 of the deals kind of fell through. So,
This next question was for me, but if you answered it, I would love to hear your opinion as well, Kyle. Sam, you've made some great moves over the last 2 years. Do you believe this is the year you turn the ship around? Yeah, I hope so. I kind of viewed this as like a little mini window for me to compete. Um, the Bucks and the Panthers were both good last year. I my biggest regret in Madden 20 was I didn't feel like I was aggressive enough making big splashy moves. So I really wanted to go down swinging this Madden. So bringing in Cooper Cup and CeeDee Lamb, and also bringing Grady Jarrett last season, Ed Oliver last season. I really just wanted to get this team as good as I could before having to uh, pay Lance and the other guys that I drafted in the year one draft. So I don't necessarily, you know, like I'm not going to predict that I win the division and make it to like the NFC championship game or anything like that. I think there's still too many really good teams in the NFC South, but I do think I have a chance to at least compete this year.
I said yes, and I went further than that. I said you win the NFC South, and it's not particularly close.
Okay.
Kevin made a couple moves that like closed the gap a little bit, but I don't think he did enough to actually compete. I think he made moves that you make if you didn't just trade Lev Morgan and Derek Brown.
That's fair.
If you could have any QB and running back in this league, who would they be? I said Watson and Mixon.
Oh, I said Watson and Zeke.
Nice. So,
Those
do you
good
guys
options.
see the Patriots? Do you guys see the Patriots still being the team to beat in the AFC after their blockbuster moves? I'll let you answer this one first.
So I said you really never know with Cody. Cody, we're looking at the Patriots as the here and now. Cody always thinks like 2 or 3 moves ahead of everybody. That's why he's constantly one of the best GMs in the league. So I don't think the Patriots team we're looking at right now for this season, I don't think it's the final product. But what I did say was I think the gap between the Patriots and the Bengals has significantly shrunk. I think Cirilio's team is really good, and I think he should definitely compete with Cody to try to get that number 1 seed in the AFC.
I don't think Cody's the team to beat in the AFC East anymore, let alone in the AFC. So.
That was it? Nothing.
That's
nothing
it.
Other than that?
Nothing more to say. I think the Bills
hey.
are the best team in the AFC East. Bills number 1 team. They're taking it all. 19 linebackers later.
This question is also for you, Kyle. What did you see in Conklin to warrant that contract?
Well, I mean, let's use this wording. That massive contract. It was a numbers game based on the fact that I don't have any huge contracts on the book after next season, and now I have an offensive line that is up there in the top 5 in the entire NFLGM League. So I think that was the move there. It frees me up to move Randy Spencer inside, a guy who struggled on the outside this Madden. So that it just solidifies a lot of things because Ricky Wagner wanted too much money to bring him back, and Jack Conklin was sitting there. And yeah, it's a huge deal. It's, $15 million, $16 million a season, but I think it's worth it in the long run.
Yep. So. And, when you don't have a lot of guys that are up for big deals, that's why you can afford to do stuff like that. Because honestly, right. Did you really have to give him that big of a deal? Probably not. But, I mean, it definitely ensured that you at least signed him, and that was the whole goal. So I don't think it's a bad move. Final question.
I mean, I could have hopped on, I guess. I could have hopped on and, lowered it, but that's just... Sure. I'm kind of my thought on that is why lower it? I made the offer. I should stick with what I offered. So
Sure. Yeah. Last question from Cirilio. Have you lost track of Kevin's moves like I have? Well, I'll
no,
tell you.
because I have them shoved down my throat every day in the TC. So
Yeah.
it's kind of
Yeah.
hard to lose track of them when you see them every day.
Yeah. I will say it definitely keeps us on our toes. Kevin does a really good job of that.
Yeah.
Uh, Speaking of Kevin, we'll move on to his questions. His
I had
first.
Roy next.
Oh, did you? Oh, I did too. I didn't scroll
Yeah.
down far. I scrolled down too far. I'm sorry. Let's do Roy's first.
Yeah.
Uh,
So Roy, number one, from a team building standpoint, could Kevin moves actually make him competitive? I mean, Kevin was competitive 2 seasons ago, and then made moves that made him less competitive, and now is making moves that I think keep him around the same amount of competitiveness. Like I don't think he got that much better.
I kind of agree. I think he got worse in some areas and got better in other areas. So I guess you could call that a wash. He obviously upgraded receiver with Diggs, and he upgraded the
Did
secondary
he?
with Gilmore.
Did
Well, I
he
mean,
though?
in terms of
I mean,
overall,
2 seasons ago he had Michael Thomas though.
right? And I just meant in terms of like his overall wide receivers, their Madden number went up as a
Right.
collective unit. Maybe not necessarily their production, but in terms of overall, it did go up.
Right.
But you know, he can complain about Derek Brown all he wants. We talked about it before. You know, if Derek Brown had 9.5 sacks, but he got hurt, so he probably would have had more if he had stayed healthy. So I kind of agree with you. Does it make him more competitive? Probably not. To me, the biggest thing for him isn't about the trades; it's getting Baker back to scrambler.
For sure.
That's the biggest thing. Do you believe Cody will be able to return to the Super Bowl this season? Gut reaction: no. I think he'll still at least make the playoffs because I still think the AFC is weak, but I don't think he'll make the Super Bowl.
I said no. He makes the playoffs, but I think he falls to somebody in the playoffs. His team's not quite as good as it has been in past years.
Yeah.
He doesn't have Stephon Gilmore turning the games around for him. So his third question, as far as Drew Lock, who finished fourth in the previous season in all-time passing in a season, could he make another team competitive? I said no. If he couldn't make that Broncos team and that Colts team competitive, then I don't think he's going to turn around another team. He takes too many sacks, throws too many interceptions. Madden's logic with field generals and strong arm quarterbacks, this Madden is broken. So,
yeah, I agree with all your points. If you have a team that you don't care about winning, you just want to develop receivers, then Locke is your guy. But if you actually want to win, it's probably not worth signing him. Last question from Roy is what he calls a fun question. Who is your go-to YouTuber to pass the time? So I used to watch a British YouTuber by the name of Allier a good bit. He was a Call of Duty YouTuber, and then he got sucked into the homogenous glob that is Fortnite, and now he is trash, and I do not watch him anymore.
I watch a channel called Dead Meat. They just talk about horror movies. So, yeah.
Fair enough. I like it.
Yeah. So moving on to Kevin, and his questions. Was it smart for the Panthers to trade all these picks? I'll let you answer that one first.
I honestly have no clue at this point. He has all these picks, but he doesn't have cap space for the rookie reserve, so he's having to trade all these picks. So he's kicking this can down the road. So he's going to have all these future picks next year, but like he's still going to be in the same cap situation. So I honestly don't know. Like he might just be like the Patriots, where he constantly just keeps trading away picks for more picks and they never pick. So I don't know.
Yeah.
He'll probably cash in at some point, but in the next couple seasons, I don't know. I don't think it was worth it.
Yeah. So then his next question is, what should the Panthers do with most of these picks? And I said, well, you traded them all, Kevin. So
yeah,
nothing.
Wait till
apparently.
next year.
Yep. When you can trade them all again.
Yeah. Is it time for the Pats to rebuild? He's kind of doing that. I would call this like a little mini rebuild, just because he still has some really good players. I guess it'd be like a retooling, I guess, if you want to call it that. Yeah.
Yeah, I said retooling. What should the Packers' next moves be? They're going to need to find some new receivers here soon. Devontae Adams is getting older. Preston Williams is kind of topped out where he's going to be. So he's going to need to add some receiving depth.
That's exactly what I said. Will doesn't have that many holes, but I said if you want to nitpick, like I think he needs a number two. Like I don't like if Preston Williams your number two, you're doing fine. But like I feel like Kevin could do better, and Devontae Adams is getting old. It sucked that Julio retired and you gave up a first for him, but now he needs another receiver.
Yep. So best move of the offseason. What did you say?
So I said Cody trading Wyrick.
Me too.
Yeah. What was the worst move?
Any of Kevin's moves.
I said the Bears trading for Wyrick.
I mean, both suitable answers.
Yeah.
In all honesty, I think trading Derek Brown and Lev Morgan only to then trade those picks, or the number one pick, to Pode for half a season of Travis Kelce when you had Rob Gronkowski, who's very similar to Travis Kelce. I don't know. Kevin traded a bunch of really good players for a bunch of players who are kind of the same. It was a roundabout way to just end up with a team that's very similar to what he had.
Yeah, like he could have just put in a lot less effort and just not made any moves.
Yep. Right, and just kept his draft picks.
Yep, for sure.
So moving on to the Lions, Vince's questions. Teams most poised for a leap after free agency. I said Saints, Lions, Broncos, Dolphins.
That is literally the four that I said.
And I guess if you want to break down why, Saints added a ton of talent in a division that didn't do anything to get particularly better. Lions added a lot of talent in a division that the biggest move was Wyrick joining. Broncos added a lot of talent, and nobody else in that division made any moves because they probably couldn't for cap reasons, and one was in a car accident. So, and then the Dolphins watched by this season or this off season and just watched everybody make the weirdest moves that they could have made. So it's a lot of different reasons why teams are getting more competitive.
Yep. Sometimes the best move is to not make any moves.
Yep.
Just let the other teams tear themselves down.
Right. Why would Sam overpay for a receiver not named Jalen Waddle?
I'm going to let you go first. You go first on this one.
I said I don't think he did. I think that Sam may have underpaid, knowing what other offers were out on the board or would have been on the board on the block for CD Lamb, and then so I don't think that you did overpay.
So I said the same. I said I didn't overpay. I was actually prepared to give up more, and then we struck the deal that we did with me and no other one. The ultimate logic here is CeeDee Lamb is 24 years old. I will have him for most of this cycle. He's superstar dev, so he's really not going to regress that much. I think I got one of the best number one young wide receivers for Chance, so they're going to be probably playing together for the rest of their careers. So
Yep.
Jalen Waddle, no disrespect there. Jalen Waddle is obviously really good, but there's honestly nothing I could have offered to Vince, even if I wanted Jalen Waddle, which I didn't.
Right. Right. Why would Vince trade Jalen Waddle? Like,
Yeah.
that's the logic I don't understand. But so moving on, are the Ravens going to regret trading Lamar? Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I said yes. I mean,
Like, yes, they got a lot of really good defensive talent, but unless you find the right scheme for Jamie Newman's scheme and playbook, you're going to be watching a lot of really ugly football.
from home,
So, yeah,
because you won't be in the postseason.
yeah. Um, is the scrambling quarterback the next coming of James Jones? Absolutely not, and I think that was proven tonight when he was taken.
Yeah, I said the same.
Bears, Pats, Wyrick trade winners and losers. I think the Pats won. They don't need Wyrick. They're not going to have to pay him a huge contract, and they get the 9th pick and a future one. So, and the losers, I think the biggest loser is Wyrick. He goes from one of the best offensive lines and schemes with Watson to playing with Minshew and a decent offensive line, but not the Patriots' offensive line.
Yep. And another case of, you know, we try to warn people to not trade with Cody, and nobody ever listens. You know, Cody wasn't going to pay Wyrick. He probably wasn't even going to play him this season. He was probably going to play Hawkins, and you could have just waited a year and had a bid on him in free agency. And even if you didn't want to do that, I still do not endorse trading for a running back, even one as good as Wyrick, because we've seen that you can get a running back this mad. And we talked off the pod, Le'Veon Bell, who's 9,000 years old now, ran for 1,300 yards for the 49ers, who weren't even using a good scheme and playbook. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to trade for a good running back this Madden. Like,
Nope.
and also Zamir White was good. Like, he was all rookie. He was good. He had a down year last year, but he was still good. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I disagree with the move, because not only you're giving Cody more ammo, you're trading for a position where there is a lot. There are a lot of good running backs. You don't need the best one, and he's not even the best one.
Yeah. You should hop into the CM chat real quick before we take these next questions.
Okay. Oh boy. Oh boy. Well, it doesn't really matter. Okay,
I know.
Well, okay. All right. Well, I'm going to vote, because that's all that doesn't really matter now.
Yeah.
Moving on to we have one more. Sorry for Vince, but it's kind of the same one. What is Vince doing? Vince is doing
Kevin.
What is Kevin doing? Kevin is doing what Kevin thinks is best for his team. Or that is what any of us would do, is a different question. But if he is doing what he thinks is best for his squad, then I'd not fault him, and I wish him luck.
So moving on to Lee and what are probably the hardest questions to answer.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead. When voting on all pro, all rookie teams, what stats matter for you guys for each position?
And this is from Lee, by the way. I don't know if you said that.
Yeah.
If you did, I apologize.
I did, but
okay,
it's all good. So for me, for like quarterbacks, it's a combination of obviously touchdowns and yards, both passing and receiving or rushing. But I weight passing yards a little bit more, and then turnovers. Running backs, it's a combination of both yards, and I think they're both equally important, and then touchdowns. Wide receivers, it's just yards and then touchdowns, and probably touchdowns weighted a little bit more. If the yardage is close, you're going to lean towards the touchdowns. If somebody has 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns, and the other guy has 1,002 yards and 10 touchdowns, you're going to take the guy with 10 touchdowns. He was more impactful. Offensive line, it's sacks and rushing yards, but sacks weighted more heavily, I would say.
Just to interrupt you right quick, we are going to go ahead and skip to Oscar and the 5th pick. Yep. I'm doing that right now. And the Vikings ended up with Keenan Harris, defensive tackle out of UCLA. And I'm going to go ahead and at Oscar.
Yep. And so then, looking at defensive line, edge, interior, it's a combination of tackles for loss, sacks, obviously weighted more, forced fumbles. Linebackers is a hard one because total tackles isn't really a telling number. Especially with so many broken tackles by running backs, that means that if your guy touched them, they're getting an assisted tackle no matter what. Somebody like Bobby Okereke can have 233 total tackles, and that looks great. But his impact plays aren't, as high as, say, a Tremaine Edmonds or Dante Hightower, who have, almost 20 tackles for loss. Corners, it's all about interceptions and deflections. I don't think there's much debate there. Safeties is one that we have a hard time with because we have a hard time with a guy like Isaiah Simmons who puts up huge tackle numbers, but he gets it from playing sub-linebacker compared to somebody like Antoine Winfield who's playing true free safety and is just getting picks and deflections. So it's a fluid thing, I think, with all-pro, all-rookie voting. It's tough because we have to come to as close to a consensus as we can. And so you've got 5 different voices in there saying things, so it's tough.
And just to piggyback of what you said, I'm not going to go through all my personal preferences because most of them are the same. Quarterbacks, we're all in agreement. We really look at a combination of yards, touchdowns, and turnovers. That's why a big reason Watson has been all-pro the past 2 years is he doesn't have the most yards, but he does have a lot of touchdowns, and he's thrown 6 interceptions in the past 2 regular seasons. So, that's really it right there. Running backs, we look at rushes and touchdowns. And we had a guy, the problem with, I say problem in our league is we have so many, like I mentioned it earlier, we have so many really good running backs. That a guy like Nick Chubb, who had almost 1,300 yards and 20 plus touchdowns, I brought him up in the all-pro chat and he was like, nah, he didn't have enough yards because we had guys almost at 1,600 yards and 17 touchdowns. So it's really, really hard. And receivers, I'm not going to mention it like you said, we touchdowns, yards, it depends. If it's close, we usually give it to whoever has the most touchdowns. And then the main one for me, for linebackers, I like the total tackles because I kind of find that guys with a lot of, or among the top at least 7 in total tackles usually have the best stats to go along with it, like forced fumbles, picks, deflections, sacks, things like that. So I like guys that get a lot of tackles because to me it means they're around the ball a whole lot. So, but that's just my opinion. Obviously, we do all have to at least come to some sort of consensus before we vote. And then the other ones, defensive line, sacks, forced fumbles, corner, all about picks, and safeties is pretty tough because we have this debate every year. We have safeties like not this past All-Pro, but last year we had the big argument was, Adrian Amos for the Packers versus Isaiah Simmons. One got a lot of tackles and was all over the place, and Adrian Amos got a good amount of interceptions. So it's kind of debating those different styles. But at the end of the day, we all do have to come to an agreement, and we do. And it's honestly like one of the best days of the season for me. I enjoy debating all of those in the All Pro chat. But so hopefully we did a good job of explaining that. But
Yeah.
if you guys ever have
Yeah,
any questions on how we do stuff, like please feel free to reach out. This next
Yep.
question is also it's pretty similar. It's really tough. Explain what you look for regarding trades to make sure deals are fair. At what age do players become too old to get a first rounder in return for them? Age isn't a factor for you guys? Question mark. So just to stop there, like we mentioned with the All Pro chat, the TC, the trade committee, we have even more voices in there, and that
Yep.
the trade committee, it's a completely different job. You know, I know for me personally, I struggle with, you know, trying to let you guys make your own trades and run the team how you want, but also like try to save you from yourselves. Um, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a really hard line to walk to be balanced like that. So that's why, you see you see things like, oh, well, why was this trade pushed through and why was this one vetoed? It's really tough. And I'll tell you, the past few days we've had a bunch of trades, and we'll get to a few, but like I've vetoed a few, and that's my personal choice. But like there's still, well, I think there's 8 or 9 people on the TC,
Yep.
so I might veto it, but that doesn't mean that Kyle is or Cody is or Phil is. They might think, well, this is good enough. And it's also about the big thing is our job is to not make sure trades are 100% fair. Our job is to make sure they're not egregious.
The
Um,
way I look at it is every TC member has a different opinion on what age is too old for a first round pick. Um, and we also have to look at what has been established and what has gone through in the past, whether we agree with it or not. I also vetoed. So I'm probably Sam and I are probably the two people who veto the most trades, I would say. Um,
yeah, I would throw Phil and Roy in as well. We tend
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah, yeah.
we like to veto.
And a lot of times you only need a majority of the people. So if, say, Sam and I are doing something, we might not see a trade till it's already done. And I've definitely seen Sam come into the TC after a trade and been like, "Hey, how did this go through?" But it's a committee. Everybody has different opinions. I don't necessarily agree with every trade, but I don't think that there have been any where I would be like, okay, this is the worst trade I've ever seen, and it's not going, like, there's no reason it should go through, outside of a couple. But I don't want to throw anybody under the bus for their terrible trade attempts. Um, so it's just like Sam said, it's hard to get everybody. Not everybody in the league is going to agree with the decision that the TC made. And I think we can just I think that we can just walk into this next question because it's basically the same question, just this one is more direct. So what were your thoughts on the Carolina New England trade? 4 first rounders and an 87-star dev for an X Factor wide receiver 29, an X Factor corner 97 overall 32, and a 75 normal DT. Are you saying each X Factor is worth 2 first at their age still, and an 87 overall wide receiver and a 75 are equals? So I can't give you any rationale on approving this trade because I didn't. Um, I don't. I don't know what to say because this is a question that
Unfortunately, we're the wrong people to ask because we both
right.
vetoed it.
Yeah.
And If you want to start, you can, like on your rationale of why you vetoed it, and then I can do the same.
I thought it was way too much to give up for aging players who are on expiring deals. I mean, that's it for me. I think it puts Kevin in a bad position next season where, okay, well, I've given up 4 first-rounders for these 2 dudes. I need to re-sign them.
Right.
It for me, it just feels like too much, but here's the thing, guys. You guys have set the precedent in the past by trading Cody these egregious amounts for players. So Cody knows what he can get for these guys. You know, he knows what he can get people to pay, and it puts the TC in a tough position because Cody obviously is a member of it. But that's never stopped me from vetoing a Cody trade before.
The first. Well, and I'll say, like, the first version of this trade got vetoed within 90 seconds, I think, maybe 2 minutes. Like, it was vetoed very fast. I'll let you finish.
No, yes, Cody, I did say that, and then looking at it, I was like, okay, never mind. This is a bad trade all around. Like, I don't like it at all for either of you. I think that it's too much to give up, and I don't know. Like, I wish I could get some insight into what the thought process here was for Kevin, not as much Cody, because I get what Cody was trying to do.
Absolutely, yeah. For me, the biggest thing it came down to is, on the surface, you're trading for 2 guys who have made the All-Pro team multiple times, and that's great. But like you said, they both need new contracts, and they're not going to be cheap. And Gilmore is 32 now?
Yep.
And essentially he got Gilmore for 2 first-rounders, and I don't think any 32-year-old is worth that. And Diggs was really good in New England, but guess what? He had the best quarterback and the best offensive line. As long as Baker is field general, I don't really see him having that much success. I don't really understand why Kevin also had to throw in that 87-star receiver. Like, I don't get it. If it was for cap purposes, he could have just traded that receiver to a different team. And yeah, so to me, I don't like this trade. I vetoed it twice.
So I have another.
Yeah.
The one defense of this trade is these draft classes are bad, and thankfully,
right.
So it ends up probably being a win for Kevin, just because of that. That's why I said it was a win for Cody, or not that Cody wasn't a clear winner, is because he's just getting a bunch of bad draft picks. But knowing Cody, he'll turn those draft picks into, I don't know, a 90 overall defensive tackle or something, whatever he needs to make his team even better. So, it's not... I don't know. Like we said, it's tough to get into the rationale of all the TC members. And if that's what you want, you have to reach out to each one of them individually and ask them about specific trades.
Yeah, if you guys ever want to reach out to me and ask about specific trades, feel free. I have no problem sharing my feelings one way or the other.
Yeah, I don't either. But
because I know we don't want as just vote yes or on trades.
Yeah, it's tough. Because I can see both sides to why this trade went through or would have been vetoed. Honestly, it is what it is, and
yeah,
Madden is not a.
Fortunately, an example I was going to give was the Michael Thomas trade. What were you going to say?
Well, Lee posted in the chat with dragons. All 4 of those guys will be mid-80s in 2 years. He can only use 2 dragons a year, so maybe they get that. But that means he's ignoring every other player on his team with dragons. So it's not as cut and dry as that. And I've made the point. I made the point when Kevin traded for those picks that I didn't like trading late round picks for early rounds draft picks and players. Like, I don't like it. I don't think that the late round picks are as valuable, even with dragons, as the number 1 overall pick. If Kevin keeps the number 1 overall pick and takes the left end, he now has an 80 overall left end, basically, who he could use a dragon on, and he's 83 and star dev. But you can go ahead with what you were going to say.
I was going to say trade.
You're like, I can't hear anything you're saying, Sam, so I don't know if anybody else can in the chat.
Vetoed it.
Yeah, like I said, Lee, I can't speak for everybody else in the TC why it went through. Like, I just can't, and I would love to be able to, but yeah, Sam's mic is dead now, so we can't hear him. He keeps coming in and out. I don't know if he knows that. So I'm just gonna talk to myself here. Sam left the party, so it's just me. All right, Sam's back. Okay, hopefully his mic's working now, and we can hear him. If he's talking, I can't hear him. Yes, I can hear you. I don't know if they can. Tell me if you can hear Sam now. I will. Hold on. No, the commissioners do not vote on our own trades. We abstain from our own trades. Did Trump turn off the mics? Are all the mics dead? Hello? On the chat? They said yours is still dead. So I guess we're going to have to... I don't have anything else. Did you have anything else you wanted to say, Sam, that I could say to them for you? Okay. Sam says he hates all of you and he hopes you all die. I mean, he said he loves you. And Travis is who got in a car accident. The Raiders user. That was a question earlier. Yeah, I don't think we have anything else, so that's going to be it tonight, guys. I don't like ending on a bummer like the trade talks and the All-Pro because it's sad that, or it's not sad, it's just frustrating to like, because I know it's frustrating just being a member and having to like be like, well, why are they letting this go through? So yeah, that's it for tonight. So thanks everybody for coming out. Don't boo me, Cody. So yeah, that's it. But so from Sam and I, have a good night. We'll talk to you guys later. Nobody heard you.